Hello. All right, we are live. 10:17 on August 16th. All right, so got a couple ideas for tonight. I was digging through my sketches and I pulled these up. So I'm feeling kind of sci-fi-ish. But I'll show you the other sketches. There's another, like two completely different tracks that I'm thinking. One being sci-fi and the other being just a little portrait sketch. Let me I'll blow these two up, make these a little larger. And if we end up doing these, I'll probably rotate the canvas, but two ideas here. A similar idea between these two. You can see this was actually several months ago, but I was kind of noodling over this idea of just kind of these curvilinear lines and shapes that would be just graphically interesting to follow on the canvas. And that's really all that I was thinking here. And then the rock formations, the sci-fi scene is just kind of an excuse to do that, right? Very simplified version here, much more complex idea going on here, and then similar idea but simplified. Okay. And then finally, this is from my pocket sketchbook. So this is actually what is this, 3 by 4 inches? So just a tiny little sketchbook. Throw in my pocket, use a mechanical pencil with this. It's really great for on the go. And so most of these are my kids hanging out with other kiddos. And this I thought was funny. Maybe we'll do a kind of a caricature with one of the kids with the pencil between the mouth and the nose. Thought that might be a fun thing to warm up with. So actually, we'll just go with that. So let's get our base color. Yeah, we'll do that. So I'm going to simplify this a little bit. Maybe fix the pose. You say that. You say you'll fix the pose, but really what I'm saying is kind of simplify it. You can see that I kind of broke it into chunks when I drew this. And the legs look a little bit detached, so moving them farther back would make sense. Just trying to keep these kind of smooth arcs. It might have worked. Let's see. It's probably too big. I'm making that, elongating that head a little bit too much. A little bit of a pinch there. Doobie doobie doo. So, starting late again. That is our way. This summer days have been packed. It's a good thing. It's a good kind of full, you know. But the seasons kind of wax and wane with how much you want to put into them, right? You feel excited, you want to do everything. Then you get tired, you want to slow down. Tis what it is. That part is like a really, that was a ridiculously misplaced. Comically. Well, it might be actually kind of fun, you know, throwing in those wispy hairs just for kicks, but I'm thinking, what if we get it associated with the pencil, since that's kind of the main thing we're showing here, is this gesture with the pencil in the nose, under the nose. And so if that is an important element, then how do we change the rest of the composition to kind of echo the importance of that? Okay. Let's switch this around. I think I want this facial features to be really soft, because we've got kind of these are all based on my now 2-year-old. So, you know, all the features are going to be not very harsh. Which is tricky for me because harsh is kind of how I paint. Gotta be subtle. All of a sudden he's gotta be, man's gotta be sensitive. Can't do that, it's too much work. All right, let's do another sketch here. We got that one. So we'll go off of this one. This obviously is just ridiculous. So let's see if we can kind of tame it, bring it down to reality a little bit here. Suppose we can zoom in. No harm in that at this point. Just warming up here, so I'm going to try to keep these loose. As much as I am tempted to, tighten down. Alright, that chin's got to be farther back to show that the lips are extending. In order to hold that pencil up there. That's quite the noggin there, buddy. Full head of hair. That ear is really big. So, ears, I guess. I am under, I believe, the correct information, assumption, that ears continue to grow throughout your life. I read it somewhere on the internet, so it's very reliable. I say that tongue in cheek for anyone who missed it. But my understanding is that ears continue to grow throughout your life. They don't really ever stop. And so, one of the ways in which you would show the difference between a child and an adult, like if you wanted someone who's really elderly, just kind of oversize their ears a little bit, see if it works. Just give it a go. And then if you want a child to look a little bit younger, let's make those ears a little bit smaller and probably less raggedy too, you know, like they haven't spent a lifetime being pushed around, you know. I'm not really sure how it goes, but I guess some ears can have it rough. Well, anyway, so keep it kind of simple. I generally try to simplify these colors, or values rather. So instead of going for tons and tons of value changes in the ear, kind of just think big picture, like I think I want just there it is. Yeah. I think I want to look at this as kind of one plane, make that darker, and then I want to look at kind of this as one plane and maybe echo that same kind of angle right there, and I might echo this right here. You know, ear geometry is it's a blast. Okay, I'll darken all of this up and smooth this out. The idea there that I was going for was that his hair was like casting a shadow there. I like that little chunk there. Maybe cut that out, let the ear extend beyond. You know, kind of break that plane. Let's simplify this. He's got quite the schnoz there. I think we need to overlap that just a little bit so the nose kind of comes down behind like that. Give that a little bit more of a shadow there. That's probably a bit much, but maybe just unify that shape. And then we'll, again, unify this, make it smoother. Because kids, they just have this way of being like, you know, the cares of the world have not yet chiseled them into, they're not beating them down into these chiseled shapes. See, I'm always tempted to do that, like, especially elderly and stuff. You start to get those wrinkles around the eyes. With children, we're gonna just simplify it, smooth it right out. Kind of pick a value, and like, let's say we want this right here. And we'll just give that shape. Same here. I think we need to just simplify that. Smooth these transitions out. Oui. All right. So then the other thing with children, and I will credit. Give me a second to recall the name. It's not distant history. It's just my brain right now. Ted Murphy, one of the faculty at Houghton University. He had mentioned that you can observe the relationship of the width of the shoulders with children. Very little children, their shoulders they haven't quite developed to broaden out yet. So, instead of having very defined shoulders like out here, I'm just going to make them look older. So, doing that just took this child from like, 1.5, maybe 2, barring all that beautiful hair up there. From that age to maybe like 5 or 6, just by broadening the shoulders. So again, make the ears bigger, broaden the shoulders. I think if we chisel that ear down a little bit, he's going to look even younger. If we soften these a little bit more, I think he'll look younger. Alright, let's put some life in these eyes. Almost looks like he's He got a little older there. Looked like he cares a little bit more about life's sorrows. Let's have him a little more wide-eyed. Now I want to be careful not to get, it's very tempting to make children have these big bug eyes. But I'm going to try to just have him like a little bit cross-eyed. Again, I don't want to have those eyes be too big, because then you look back and you go, oh man, they're like giant bug eyes. And this eye probably should scooch in a little bit here. It's always a temptation to draw the brain, to draw the far eye in totality, like completely, without having it blocked a little bit by the bridge of the nose. I'm going to scooch that in a little bit. I think we need to soften that up a bit more too. Don't want those eyelashes being too pronounced. All right, let's get this transition nice and soft, and then we can reestablish that cast shadow there. Is that how that scalloping looks, or is it the other way around? I suppose I have a pencil. I could pick it up and look at it. Yeah, it's fine. I guess a little bit of lighting on that pencil. Soften that up just a little bit. I just want to clean this up just a little just to see, am I confusing myself with that cast shadow off of the pencil? I think I'll extend this down to the jaw line. Soften all that out. I think this upper lip would overlap a little bit there, and then we're going to get the crease. Oh, we're losing that. We're losing the shape. I combine that all as one kind of. Let's see if we can get a little bit more of a stretch on that. That ear might be too far back. All right, let's reincorporate that contact shadow. It will just go straight across the lip like this. It just looks like a booger running down or something. And that starts to look like a mustache. So, you see my dilemma. You know what? This is typical Eric Elwell stuff where we've got to figure out a light source, and I just don't quite want to commit. All right, so I'm going to do one more thing here. Just looking at this, I'm thinking, you know what this needs? It needs to have very delineated light and shadow. So I'm just going to clean that up. That's shadow shape. Make all of this a shadow shape. So that if you squint at this, you see it very simply as light and shadow. His neck is super long. You know what? Let's just fix it. Actually kind of preferred what we had before. Let's go with, let's see, if we maybe pin these down and then go. I think we need to choose like darker color or lighter. Like we need to decide which change we're making. But mainly I just want to darken that in there to unify those shadow shapes. It's not adding that much. So, all right, anyway, I'll warm up. Come back to this guy. Maybe, clean it up a little bit. I think the tricky thing with these is that, especially babies, like really little kids, my kid, his nose is so tiny. That is a tiny little button nose. And it kind of curls up, you know? Like, what do you call that? Like snub nose kind of looking, I don't know. But the more I push it down like this, the more it looks like an older person, you know what I mean? And having that childhood kind of characteristic there is tricky. let's see here. All these little angles and stuff. So the one thing shouldn't say I wish, one thing that I know that this needs in order to be successful, and granted this is like a warm-up sketch, so whatever, take it with a grain of salt. Of course, I've been warming up for like almost an hour now, so I don't know how long I get to take that excuse. But anyway, that being said, I think one of the things that is super important with this kind of thing is this expression, right? So he's picked up this little piece of paper, he's got this pencil in his nose, and what is he thinking? You know, it's kind of important if you're gonna tell a story. Okay, that's kind of fun. I think I'll do, just real quick, for fun, I will add a color burn to these. I'm going to take a little drink of my lemonade. Lemonade with blueberries. Fresh picked blueberries. It's delicious. You get that wonderful, refreshing lemon. And then a little snack of blueberries on top of that. really care for those two areas. Having extra shadow. I think this could. I think I kind of like leaving the hair softer. Yeah. Yeah. Feels like he needs another pencil. Yeah, I think it needs to be. I think it needs to be left pretty soft. I'm not sure that that curves is helping too much. It defines things a little bit more, but yeah, there's limits to how defined you want a thing to be. All right, so that's all good and fine. Let's see what we got here. I am tempted to go into coloring that, but maybe we'll save that for another time. So let's grab all of this. Control G. Let's have a look at the other ones. I'm chewing on a pretzel right now. Peanut butter filled pretzel. Really just the best life has to offer. I am tempted to try to make these two work together. I think the perspective's a little too far off, but might be kind of fun. And of course there's this one. So one thing that I think I want to do, I'll take this and just make a few corrections with liquify. And crunch that down so the black is all together. I'm gonna merge that. I guess we can. Let me grab that. And then fill it in. All right, let's see. I think we shall liquefy this. So there were a couple things that I was playing with during this time. And so one of those was to have kind of these rounded, more fisheye perspectives. So I'm just going to play with that real quick as an option. Actually, before I do this, let me just duplicate this layer so that if I want to do a couple different variations of it, that won't be too much of a problem. All right, so the first thing I'm going to do is going to bring this down and straighten it. And then we will fisheye it a little. We need to tighten a lot of these up and get these shapes getting thinner as they go into the background. Just flatten them out a little bit. So I think this will help unify the image since there's so much curvature going on. You know, it's just the motif is curving kind of serpentine lines. So if there's just kind of this rhythm and unity throughout, I think that will help us out. Okay, I don't want to noodle too long on this, but I also want to give the idea a fighting chance. So, again, the concept here is curvilinear forms, curvilinear shapes rather, that lead the eye. Really, frankly, it's just to be entertaining. It's just to enjoy the character of the shapes and the brush strokes. So we want to accentuate that. But I'll say, having explored the idea, you know, in a pen sketch here, you know, now this stage really is a stage of just noodling to clean things up, to look for relationships, look for errors in relationships, like things that are kind of pointing tangent or pointing to each other that lead the eye in ways we did not intend. There we go with the we again. I keep blaming everybody else for mistakes, for my own mistakes. My apologies. Just can't seem to let it go. That's gonna be a hard habit to break. Because we talk, it sounds kind of nice until you're like talking about your faults and you're like, you know what we all need to learn, and by we I mean me specifically in this instance. nuts. I wonder how many of these things would just be easier to paint. But, you know, pushing and pulling feels kind of satisfying. Um, let's see. I want to say this will suffice for now, but I think I need to push some of these other forms back here. Again, curvilinear. And these are distance. We're gonna kind of tighten them up a little bit. I think I had put this like cloud, or this streak in the horizon here to kind of ground everything. I wanted to have these like lighter notes up there that denoted you know, more structures or some kind of atmospheric thing going on in the background. But in order to have them pop out, I put that horizontal band there. And now that I have stretched everything, I need to get that to have a clear association again as one continuous line that is blocked by these other forms in space, even though, of course, it is all an illusion. Okay. Is there a way to use a different brush in the liquify tool? Because I would really much rather have a flat square brush than a round brush for this particular application. Brush size. There's probably a way to do it. Pressure, size, density, rate, whatever. I don't know. I don't know. I'm really messing up some of these. Reconstruct. If I do that, I know it's gonna want to jump because it was way up there. But it is looking pretty janky. But I think I'll just redo that one with like the whatchamacallit tool. The transform. Oh, that's kind of a fun effect. Like a mirage kind of looking thing. Alas, we will not do that. Oh wow, that was way up there. I'll just go with that. Spending way too much time fiddling with this. And then I think there are certain things we could just clean up with a few brush strokes. Nice arc there. See, the trouble with doing this in ink is reestablishing the weight Like if you wanted like a weight curvature like that, you've got to plot it out and do it in there in black. As a, you do your negative shapes, I mean. I think this is partly where the fun of doing this in ink comes in, is where, when you lay that black down you just have this immediacy of like, oh, there's the shape. And, obviously it can go sideways and feel like something that you want to correct, but I like how quickly it takes shape and starts to feel like something. I like how these, excuse me, that was weird. I like how these shapes correspond here. I kind of want to simplify that, but also I'm just liking how strong that is. As a graphic element to have this shape come back and then cut all the way through there. I think it needs to come down a little bit here to work. Then if it picks up all the way right there, kind of fun. And then do we want that to extend into anything? Or are we just leading the eye there for no apparent reason? This I think we'll just extend with the smudge brush. Now, earlier I said that we would try a couple different things. By golly, are we going to have time for that? Well, frankly, I don't even remember what the other thing was that I was going to try. But let's actually make an effort. Let me just wrap this up real quick with a few things I think could be cleaner. Yeah, this is what everyone came for. The nose humming of, oh, what is that song? I don't even remember. Yeah, like and subscribe for more nose humming. That's what we all need right now. Okay, grab this. We'll just use the standard transform brush, or tool rather. Brush, transform brush. Pfft. What is this guy even saying? Alright, we'll merge that down. Oop. Now, one last thing. Let's go new layer, lighter color. We're gonna pin that to the layer below it. I'm gonna grab this gray, and then I'm gonna bring this into just everything as we start going back into the background. We're gonna start pushing it towards that gray. Maybe we'll go even lighter. And that'd be something. Lighter once more? Why not? Well, guess we found out. Not to worry. We'll mask that out. I do kind of like it being a little bit on the bottom there. I kind of have these forms separated. Okay. We will... I guess we'll keep that as a stack. Why not? I can think of some ideas. How about mask it off just a wee bit there. There we go. And then actually what would be kind of fun with this, so if I do a new layer, we'll do the same thing, pin it, go to lighter color. We're gonna grab like, I don't know, let's do green, something. Blue, teal, I don't know. Anyway, no, I'm on, I need the brush. Anyway, we just kind of push these up, right? So we can have these looking like they're, you know, cavities with some light inside. Just gotta find that edge there. Excuse me. Eric, what are you even talking about? This is something else entirely there. So I don't really want to mess with that. I don't like how that's looking. That shape. It's like the one thing that kind of defies the rest of it. Okay, so do. Emphasis on the doot. There we go. All right, I don't even remember what I was saying. I think the other one, all I really wanted to do was straighten things out. So let's see, let's go with solid color. We're gonna go multiply, not burn, linear burn, multiply. Guess we'll go multiply. We actually may just go below that one. And then let's do a new solid white fill behind this. We'll merge that down. Merge. Oh, come on. I gotta rasterize this first. Rasterize. Killing me. We have to unpin. Merge layers. Now we can bring those all back in. All right, so this guy right here. I want that effect, but I want it kind of just in that sky area. So, I mean, the logical step would be multiply below that. The only problem is that that's going to cause, okay, there's another way we can do this. Let's go control click to get our alpha mask. And we'll just do this. We'll get rid of that mask, create a new mask. All right, and then we just need to clean up this mask a little bit. So, curves. Yeah, that's a problem there. There are a couple areas where I still want some white to come through. But we'll do this. So we got that. That's masked out. So I will reinforce it there. And we'll get rid of it here. Let's have a look at that. There we go. I think I want to just kind of unify this. It's got those 3 engines, but like we just kind of bring those together. Yes, if we bring them together, then what, Eric? Yeah, maybe it's a bad idea. I don't know. I'm trying to simplify the shape. No, it was better. It's just too steep, I think. Steep? What in the world? What are you talking about? Speak a language we all understand, Mr. Elwell. Okay, let's adjust this. There we go. Maybe we'll do a new solid color on top of that. That's like a very gross yellow. Gotta go richer than that. I mean, like a cadmium yellow. Alright, and we will paint this in with a rough brush. Nasty square standard. And we are working rather large here. Now I'm going to go to, well, I don't know. I'm thinking about going to my smudge brush on this, but I do want to keep some texture in here. We'll go perhaps back and forth a bit. There are some textures that I like, and others that need to kind of dissolve. And I guess another question is, to what extent do we want to continue this curvy motif? Do we want to have it in the background here in a way? Or do we want to contrast against it, against something that's a little more linear? All right, let's set this to like overlay or these little kind of lighten ones here. Green. Color dodge or overlay is kind of what I'm leaning towards. Let's do overlay, and then let's adjust it. Smooth it out. And we're just gonna build things up this way. It's kind of a fun way to work. Because I mean, you go from, hey, let's do a night scene. You know. And then switch it up. Kind of like the reds. For whatever reason, that's what I had in my head. That'd be kind of fun, like a red night scene. Let's we do just a color overlay on top of this and just change this color. Set it to normal. I think that's messing with our lighter color settings, so I think we'd have to just manually change it with like a hue saturation. Colorize, lower the lightness, increase the saturation, adjust the hue. All right, let's see. Yeah, let's bring it down a little bit. Yeah, I guess we'll do another solid fill. See, look at that, and I like that. Oh, it's just decisions, you know what I mean? Like, I like the idea of it, of the different, having different times a day. Anyway, what is this game attack? Overlay, yeah, let's do overlay. Let's bring in, let's start to adjust the tones here. Maybe we'll do a couple different versions. I like the idea of like, maybe the light hasn't quite hit down here yet. Of course, this is darker, but it's warmer. I should have made twice as much lemonade, because now I'm thirsty. Life is hard, you know. All right. Yeah, I think we'll invert that relationship. We'll have the light kind of coming across above here. I think some of these, maybe like the upward facing planes, we could mask out. I'm loving it. My nephew's recently picked up playing guitar, and he was over a little while ago, and I was plucking away on the strings, and he's like, "Oh, yeah, that's nice. What song is that?" I'm like, "Oh, it's a jingle from the '90s. It's the Band-Aid song." I was in a mood, and I thought, I will learn Band-Aid song, and what's that other one? Folgers. The best part of waking up is Folgers in your cup. I mean, false advertising if there ever was any, but still, the jingle sticks with you. That's how they get you. That's getting a little too wild there. I wonder if we reintroduce this color fill. Just with a different blend mode, maybe. Ooh. Color burn, but I think we'll have to lower the fill. No. Change the color. I want that like deep red, but I don't want to lose the nuances. Know what I mean? Part of waking up. Folgers in your cup. Okay. So let's see. I like that with a little bit of that yellow in there, but it's not. It's too much. Too much. Can't abide it. So let's go halfway. Or let's see, if we go here and maybe increase the opacity, is that gonna? Yeah, it's gonna make it really rich. Let's decrease the opacity and then just duplicate it. So we should get it coming through a little bit here. Nope. Neat. Let's just lower the fill. So if you adjust the fill on a color burn layer, you're going to change the effect of it's going to keep it nice and rich, but it'll let a little bit more of that light underneath come through, or value come through. If you change the just overall opacity, then it's gonna calculate the color burn effect, and then just you're just basically lowering how much of that. Oh man, I know I explained this before in a much better way. Basically, it's whether it's doing it pre-calculation or post-calculation. So like it calculates the effect, and then you just are lowering the transparency of that layer, as opposed to fill. If you adjust the fill, the effect will. So okay, we'll go full opacity to describe this. This is what we have with a full fill. And if we lower the opacity, see what we're dealing with is black, red, and white. Okay, and so as we lower the opacity, black allows more, it just turns more translucent, lets more things come through. I actually really like that effect. That's what we're probably going to go with. But to explain what I was trying to say verbally, it's much easier to do it visually. So that's like the effect has been calculated on full force, and then we just lower how much that blends, as opposed to this is doing the fill pre-calculation, right? So it's kind of lowering the opacity of the layer before it calculates the color burn. Right, so really down low, 0, nothing's happening. Start to inch that up, things get richer in color, and then after you hit that threshold, things just get pushed to black, and we go down and down and down. Okay, so what I think I want to do is actually probably duplicate this so that we're doing a little bit of both, because I really like this this like hazy effect that we're getting right here, but I think I want to make it richer. So let's go full opacity, and then we'll just inch up the fill. That's going to increase the contrast and the saturation kind of throughout. And I might reintroduce those blues, or we can boost them with another method. And then I think finally I want to darken this up. So I'm going to do probably just a fill, like a normal color. I'll just paint it in. Well, no, because I want to be able to adjust the color of this. We'll do solid color. Let's just go with like an orange. And so it's actually kind of yellow right now, right? And we're going to mask that off. We're going to paint that in there. And I have a hunch that we may want to use a blend mode here to preserve some of what we had in there. So darken, that's not bad because it's going to take it down past that white, but it's going to leave all that black and some of that blue in there, which actually would be kind of nice to have it bounce off, the yellow and blue, color combination will cause a little bit of tension there, make it kind of vibrate, which is nice. We can also you can kind of double it up, so you could do like a darken and then a dodge, or vice versa, so dodge and darken. And what that'll do is that'll make that nice and rich around there, where it mixes with that other blue. And then we can bring that white down. So basically what we're doing is we're going to bring the white down to a color of our choosing. And that'll be the focal point without being actually just white on the canvas. Because once everything goes dark, it's going to be a low-key painting. So I like pen light, though pen light will change if we change the color. So yellow, but like if we go, see, a little darker, it's gonna blend less in the shadows. It's a nice effect. I like pen light actually. Well, I'll just go with that. I like how it's working. Okay, so we can either do this above those layers or below. I don't quite know because I like how rich it is, but I really want to control. I really want to control its relationship to the rest of the painting. I think we'll go above it and then try to control it here. Let's do another one. Let's do like, I guess we'll do overlay. I was thinking linear dodge, but I don't necessarily want to go up in value. I just want to be able to adjust this a little bit. And do I want all of that darker? Like a lot darker? Yeah, I might want to push that back below this layer actually. So let's just do darken. And I'm going to select that blue and throw it in there. Throw it on those as well. Do we want to have a shape inside of here? We'll leave them solid. Yeah. Solid it is. And then let's adjust that darken layer. Color dodge. All right, so then the rest of this, loathe some planet down here. Yeah, see, I like that grayness. So we'll go half these. I feel like it needs more. Just to kind of clean it up or unify things, I guess. Maybe like take some of these, this brighter red, and introduce it in, like fog. Don't want to go crazy with it because I like that it's kind of contained in that area. So I'm gonna pin the opacity and just darken that up. Unpin that. Might need some lights. Should probably do lights on a separate layer. Let's do that. I'm already started with those ones, but whatever, let's get these guys going. Oh, golly gee, mister. And I have a hunch we'll be pushing these back to be a little bit less opaque. And now I'm thinking, should we have kind of roads? Go to our chunky eraser. It's like a, what do you call it? Comb brush. Nice for just kind of leaving a mark but breaking it into little segments. And then that horizontal line. And do we want that in there? I don't know. All right, let's do a new layer. This is set to sample all layers. So it's just kind of blending. We're just blending everything together here. That's kind of fun. I'll explain what's going on there in a second, but that can be a fun way to work. So whatever I just did here in the middle, I'm not as excited about, but I do like this idea, just kind of exploring with this effect. I like how it looks to have these kind of like, I must think about it like these dripping like sulfur clouds or something, you know, it's kind of a different environment. Okay, so then what was going on up here is we have this, where is it? This one right here. This is our color dodge layer. And that's above everything going on here. So actually, I'll do a new layer to do an example of this. So it's going to take that effect, and everything we do is crunching the whole layer stack together when it samples all layers, and some of those layers are above it, so you get some more variation when you do that. Yeah, so we can play with that a little bit. Obviously, it can get out of control in a hurry, but we can also have fun with that. I think if we go like really small with that, it might. Do we want to go small or large? So when you go large, it slows it down a little bit. It gets kind of chunky. When you go small, it's able to keep up a little better. And so you don't get as much of that nice smudge effect. So I like that, but I think we need to mask it a bit and cut parts of it out. So trouble with masking is that yellow is going to go from nice rich yellow to like a sick green, almost as if it's actual pigment. So I like all of that, but it's just competing too much for our attention. We're going to push that back. I like what's going on here with like just a little bit of chaos around the engines. Makes them look more crazy rather than like controlled, All right, where did we put our lights? Right there. So this we should probably adjust. Should probably name it. And our lights will be in normal blend mode, so we can easily adjust the color, but we'll do a solid color and pin it down to the lights. We'll get rid of the mask. So now we can just really quickly adjust our light color to whatever fits our liking. Okay, I feel like that is way more toned down than that. I mean, this is a more unified color scheme. That's more, I don't know, makes the place look a little less hellish. Like there's a nice little blue quiet place you can go to in this red Inferno planet. But let's do a couple different options. So we'll do another one, pin that down, and we'll set this one to, I mean, let's take it and crank it up to 11. Let's go even more intense in that red. I kind of like that red pink right there. Okay. I don't want to compete with this, right? So see there, this is primary. That's kind of, well, it's probably the secondary read. But then otherwise that red starts to blend in. I think with this, you still have that as a secondary, but it's softer, but then you also get that color contrast. So it, you know, as we pass throughout the painting, I think that's just more interesting to look at. And then that one, of course, is more intense, and so we're using value instead of hue to get the contrast, and so it harmonizes better with the color scheme, with the palette, but is harsh with value. We have Greg in the chat. Welcome. It's looking good. Thank you, sir. I'm kind of tempted to jump back to like the happy daytime version of this, and I think there actually is something beneficial in terms of, you know, how to use Photoshop. That would be kind of nice to cover in doing so. But the one thing I want to do now is I'm going to take this and I want to give it a little bit of a bloom effect. And so, okay, so I'm thinking, how do I want to do that in a way that allows me to still control all this? And so I think what I'll do is I'll duplicate it. We're going to hide the original. This one we're going to go to, let's do probably just motion blur. And I think I'll just go vertical on this, 90. Something like that. And sometimes when I blur, I'll duplicate it so that it, you know, so you have the, so that you have more of the opacity. You'll lose some of the opacity when you blur. And then maybe we'll do Gaussian blur so that we get that kind of every direction. So the primary is the up and down. And then we do a little bit of Gaussian here on that one that we copied. Now, hopefully we don't crash Photoshop doing this. Because you see, if we do it this way, it makes a nice glow effect. But that's because the colors are, you know, in the same palette. But if I want to use this color, you know, to apply to it, then I've got to group these. So I think we can simply cross our fingers. Hope we don't crash Photoshop. Simply group this, call this lights. Okay. And then apply our color and pin that to the group. So now that color is overlaying that whole group. And then I think we could also go a little bit more intense by maybe changing this light to like screen or something. So that's going to be brighter than everything else. And does that make a difference when we overlay the group? Don't think it does. So I think if this is in screen mode, we can put this up above like that, and then we need to duplicate it there like that. And I think we'll have to take all the color information out of it. Maybe we'll do, now overlay would look gross. Color dodge, linear dodge. Let's go with screen. And we'll go hue, knock all the saturation out of that. That's pretty intense though. I think I prefer that version. Though, let's try one more where we just increase the intensity with these blue ones. And then maybe let's mask this out in the background there. Greg, if you're still there, how you been? Hit me up on Discord sometime. We should talk. I've been talking with a couple other artist friends of mine about getting this kind of a more organized art community together. And I want to be careful about saying these things because I don't want to make promises. But I will say I am serious about this at this point. Where I'm talking with a few people that I think would be great additions, like great contributors. And we're also talking about just our different experiences with both in the industry and then just with art training and different communities that we've been a part of, and the good, bad, the ugly, and trying to get a good sense of what will work and what would kind of leverage the strengths of online communities and hopefully hedge against some of the pitfalls of it. So anyway, we're talking about that, and I did get your feedback. It's a couple weeks back, and anyway, I appreciate that. And yeah, so hit me up sometime. We'll talk about it. So I'm gonna bring in some like foggy type stuff here. So to show that like the light in the background is hitting, some atmosphere in the air. And I might end up coming through and blurring this. Yeah, let's give that a go. Let's go. Probably it'll hit our motion blur again. And I might push that back. Yeah, definitely push that back. Um, hmm. All right, I'll do one more thing and then I'll show you what I was talking about earlier. So let's just do our overlay and we'll do a color balance. So our overlay, I think I want like maybe even a cool light hitting this so that we've got a little bit more of a bounce there. I'll light up some of these a little more. Like these underlights that we brought in earlier. And this will kind of homogenize the tones there because they were more aqua, and we're going to bring them closer to blue, which is closer to that light color. But still lets it kind of bounce back and forth and be modulated. Let's go bright and kind of greenish, and we'll push these out. It doesn't need to be that bright. Too bright. Too bright. Push those lights out to be hitting the surface beneath them. And I think we'll go back towards this blue and try to travel up. It's too dark. We need to get really bright with that. Travel up these is what I'm thinking. To get these to look like they're dropping down and hitting, you know, starting to hit that blue underlight that would light up that fog, smoke. All right, I'm gonna check out the chat again. I'll go did this piece the other day, campfire lighting, similar colors, and I really struggled with the second ambient night light color. Sounds great. I just kind of going hard on perspective recently. Lots of rotating objects and 3-point, multiple ground planes with multiple vanishing points, etc. Yeah, those are great, great exercises. So. Do you feel like I'm trying to think of how I want to formulate this question? Do you feel like you really enjoy or you're really hungry for just the technical parts? You know, like you're talking about perspective, and I think in order to really get into those, you have to really want it, you know. Otherwise, I mean, either want it really badly or, you know, be in a school that's forcing you to care about those topics, you know. All right, I think that will work for that portion. I might actually do just a separate overlay or kind of a warm light. I'm going to bring that down. I like some of those changes, some of them, but I'm a little concerned about overdoing it. I'll be checking back in the chat here in just a second. Just gotta kind of finish this thought. And maybe we lower the opacity or the fill. Like that. We'll lower the fill. Yeah. I think that's what we need to do. Lower the fill on that. Should we lower the fill on the other effect? And then let's do a color balance. Checking back on the chat. I hate not understanding something seemingly basic. I tried to draw two spaceships in one scene and realized I had no clue how to rotate them. Yeah, I mean, I think there's something really empowering about getting into those kind of mundane skills. They're like mundane and boring for a reason, I think. I mean, maybe that's not quite the right way to word it, but there's such potential in them to just give you the ability to communicate your ideas, and yeah, I think we shoot ourselves in the foot by ignoring the basics because they're too basic, you know. I'm so tempted to give a hockey analogy, but I know I've given you like 3 hockey analogies, so I'll spare you. I think I'm liking this. I feel like that's a bit more, it increases the mood and kind of homogenizes the scene. So that's normal mode if it's just luminosity that we're liking about that, versus color. So color or normal or luminosity. Yeah, I think I'll go with color. And then, well, we'll just pause here. Okay. I hate not understanding something seemingly basic. Yeah. Yeah, I think good on you for recognizing that. It's funny. I think so much of life, art or otherwise, is like the fundamentals. I mean, in the art world, I don't want to say that I hate hearing that, but like we just kind of harp on the fundamentals so much that I think we kind of need to chill out. I mean, it's true, but it's just kind of annoying to hear over and over. Like it's almost like it's something we like to say and talk about, and we know it's the right answer, but not too many people are really excited about doing the basic or the seemingly basic parts. That being said, I think it's absolutely the most valuable thing you can do. You know, again, I'm trying not to give you that hockey analogy, but it's just too true. You know, if you're missing out on the core skills, then all the fancy stuff is it's kind of moot. Where is our... Yeah, I think what I'll do with this is lower the fill a little bit so that it's a little tighter. And then let's go to, oh, these are our color balances, right? So this one, or overlays rather. So I think I'll bring that one back up to near 100%. 80, well, maybe 75. Okay, yeah, so the thing I was going to show you is right here, layer comps. So we'll do a new layer comp, and we'll say this is red sky, blue light, complement. Okay. And then let's go play around with this a little bit. So one of the things we did was the lights, right? So let's bring that. Maybe we'll intensify this even. Let's bring this up. Really bright red. Okay. And maybe we want to... let's not do that color balance, and let's do a hue saturation. Let's find our color that's not red, and we'll adjust that. So let's go to like green. Yeah. All the way into our purples, magentas. Let's just crank that up to make sure we're looking at what we think we're looking at, right? Okay. So let's push these. Something like that. I think we'll lower the bit. Or the saturation. Okay. So you see what we're doing there is we're knocking out that blue. And then maybe we'll just leave that as it is. Let's bring that color balance back in. Nope, don't like that. I think we could use, we'll do a solid color. We'll set this to, let's delete the mask on that. We'll set this to overlay, and then we'll play with this a bit. Kind of like that. It just kind of mutes everything, highlights that red a bit. Though I think one thing it could use is we could bump the red up a little bit. So let's just do another hue saturation. We'll select the reds. We'll increase those and maybe adjust. Adjust where they're coming into play. adjust the hue of the hue shift. Man, brain usage. That's okay. That's okay. But I think I like somewhere in the middle there where there's like some kind of warmth in the background. And I think I'll lower the effect of this one until it gets, well, I think we need to have that kind of homogeneous. Okay, anyway, so now we go back to our layer comps. We do a new layer comp, and this one is orange gray. And then once we throw that color balance back on there, let's do another one. We'll say this is red, blue, orange, oranger combo. And then what if we want to do like a light scene like we were doing earlier? Remember? So like let's turn these. Yeah, I guess we can leave the lights on. And so if we're gonna do a light scene, we need to get rid of these guys, right? We got to get rid of the blend, these ones where we're blending on every layer above it. And then let's see, what's that one do? That's the engines, lights. One moment. I had to sneeze. I'll be looking at the chat in just a second, but I want to finish this up while it's, it's looking hideous, right? So, okay. Nope, 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 nope. Yeah, maybe we take this and just lower the opacity. And let's have a look at some of these other ones here. What are these doing? How about yeah, I like what this one's doing. Just feels a little bit more like, dusk or something. And maybe we can adjust these ones. That one's okay. I'll adjust this color burn a little bit there. And let's see, do we have our color balance on? Yep. So that's affecting our blend. Let's do another one. Maybe a curves. And we're just trying to kind of mute this whole thing down. Okay. And maybe we do one more color balance or some form of color adjustment for this. I want this to have the feeling of, kind of golden hour. Eric, you say golden hour, but then you start making it blue. Okay, I'm thinking with my eyeballs right now. I mean, I don't actually want it to be red. I want it to feel like the sun is right on the horizon, so you're getting a little glimpse of it. That little band. But the rest of it is just catching kind of ambient light from the sky. That would be more like a sunset. So anyway, without repainting the scene, we can make adjustments like this. And we could do let's just save the options. So we'll say this one is low sun, and of course we can do other effects in there, make it pink or whatever. And then let's do another version of this, and we'll set this one to what we were doing before, right? So more in that blue complement. This would be like dusk, maybe, right? So we set a new one. We call this one dusk. All right. Now, if I'm not crazy, all of this should work. So we just jump to the different versions by clicking those. And you can export your different versions in a snap by going File, Export, Layer Comps to Files. Now I'm not going to do that because probably the last time I did it was for work, and I don't want things to, I don't want things to pop up that weren't supposed to pop up. But anyway, that's a little trick to kind of play with different variations on an idea, and be able to kind of export those and pitch those ideas separately. All right, I'm going to look at the chat real quick. You can use them in really subtle ways too, though. Even just putting or adding something like a really well-rotated cylinder to a scene can take it out of that mundane, everything lines up look. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's just absolutely necessary to make things look dynamic and interesting and have control over the scene. I have my theories about what makes stuff trend / get employed, and it's pretty high up there. Yeah. Well, yeah, that's. I'm tempted to talk about that, and tempted to talk about the other, aspects of that conversation that I'm having with some other people. I'll probably table that for now. But yes, I think you're right. I think trend is. I'm actually not really looking for a place that trends, right? Or I'm not really trying to build something like that. That's part of why it's taking so long, kind of hemming and hawing and finding the right people and finding the right idea. Because I don't want to just do something for the sake of like, let's do something exciting and get a whole bunch of people together and it'll be a big cool thing, right? There's lots of that stuff out there, and I'm not gonna say that I don't care or that it doesn't appeal to me, but I've seen that cycle over and over and over, and um, yeah, there are different factors to that, but I think you're absolutely right. It's this idea. It's kind of like you think of the level up community. It's well, if we make this commitment and we put all this time and energy into it, and we will grow together and have the promise of successful careers. So it is, like you said, get employed is kind of the um, that's the carrot, I guess, that especially young artists are chasing after. Um, I guess I'll talk a little bit about some of the things we've been discussing. Part of what we're talking about is artists who have been in the industry for a while and want to do their own thing or want to do something different. Um, and partly I'm looking to create the opportunity or the framework to do that in a constructive way. Um, there's just a lot to that conversation, so I'll probably just table that for another time. But I'm thinking about that, and I'm thinking about, well, what's the interplay between the two? You know, the the young and hungry artist who wants to get into the industry, wants to learn whatever they can, get connected with people, and how do I do it? What's the knowledge and what are the skills? And there's a lot of excitement there, and then kind of matching them up with people that have done that and can talk about that, but then also like um, can have realistic expectations about um, where it leads and what you might miss out on, what you might rather do, um, and it's not just that. It's not just the like sit down talk of like the pros and cons. It's I think what I'm looking to do is actually create the framework where that's really constructive and creates great, not just good conversations, but great work on both ends of that spectrum. Uh, and also kind of lays out the options and different options other than the kind of cookie cutter, um, you know, be the very best character artist or the very best environment artist, and copy all the things that you like, that you see are popular, and look at what studios want and do that thing, to death until you're like the person who's really good at that, and like that's all kind of the normal advice on getting into the industry. But if you did all of those things, um, you could end up being an artist that like you don't even recognize. Like you don't even recognize your own work. You don't even recognize, in a couple of years, like, well, I made all these choices to do work a certain way and to approach things like this so that I could be employed, which is absolutely a valid reason and commendable. However, you can take that to the extreme that you look at your work and you look at yourself and you're like, man, this isn't even. I don't even care about any of this. I just did it because it was marketable, right? And so anyway, yeah, I think stepping away from that, stepping away from say the negative side of that, and getting into like, well, then what can you do, and what are your options, and how do you find projects that fit, and how do you fund projects that are not funded by a studio that you kind of want to do your own thing, and so those are the kind of things uh, that I'm kicking around and that we're discussing, and that I'd like to bring and build. Uh, but the like just a cool place to be and to like rush shoulders with people and like get a job. Like I don't want to say like schmooze or whatever. Like that's really not the point. I think I think it would have a great potential to meet other great artists and by other great artists, I mean like other artists who are just as committed as you are, and and great artists that have been there and done that before. So it would be a good opportunity there, but I want to structure it, I think, more in like a project-based way, and in a short-term commitment. So instead of like just this perpetual community where you're always, it's just like show up all the time and there's open chat and everyone's posting their stuff and kind of vying for attention. Instead of that, I think we're looking for something that's pretty small and tailored to specific community commitments and specific project commitments, and in like bite-sized, like chunk times. And by times, I don't mean like every Saturday or whatever. I mean like um, for like a 2 month duration or something. So your project has like a spooling up phase and then like a completion phase, and then like your expectation to be in the community and active and stuff is kind of just in those like seasons. Think about it like sports seasons or something like that. I think that's just far more manageable for people. So anyway, yeah, that's partly kind of the framework that we're mulling over. There's a lot more, but yeah, I think something good can come together. Um, I am gonna get back to the chat here. Uh, these gradients are amazing. Love the vibrant reds and orange, and the greeny grays, and the texture of the window glowing ellipses works great. Yeah, thanks. I love getting those grays in there, and I mean sometimes it's hard to choose, right? You're like jumping around. Like this one has that nice soft gray in it. I like the overall feeling of this one. This one just feels kind of like uh, moody. To me, this elicits the feeling of having traveled for a long time and coming into your destination city, like right as the sun is going down, which maybe is a feeling like just too familiar, because you're traveling all day, you're trying to get somewhere, before it gets dark. And so to me, this palette has um, just the colors alone are doing more work to connect like a story that we can kind of connect with. Obviously, there's so much more you can do, but this one just kind of feels, you got that dark, ominous thing going on. This is like kind of gray and lifeless. Um, Obviously, these two are rather similar, one being kind of more punchy than the other. But I think this gives you that dark, otherworldly, not inhospitable world, but then it kind of gives you little windows into um, like a respite from it, So like, yeah, I love jumping around and doing these different color comps and like just completely changing the feel of a scene and playing with it. Okay, back to the chat. Morris says, not to be a scummy dude, but lying on your resume and saying you are in a certain area helps. One studio told me that they didn't hire me for years because I wasn't in the area. Actually, there's another story on that. It was a completely different industry, but a friend of mine, I was talking with him. His brother um, was a rancher. He was a cowboy that worked on this ranch, and I think that was out in Montana. But he told me that he lied on his resume and said he was from Pennsylvania when he was from New York. And it's true. I'm okay, and now I do not really, under any circumstances, recommend lying. Definitely not on your resume. um, I feel like there are tactful ways to tell the truth, but But you're right, Morris. Like there's a lot of screening. There's a lot of filters that get put in place um, that just instantly like, oh, this person is going to have to move. We'd have to pay for relocation. This might be, you know, an investment, and not just a financial investment, but a time investment. Having somebody come out, try to get them connected with our community and the culture, and then find out that it's not a good fit, and then so like, um, yeah, sometimes there is some reluctance to do that, and they might just be. It might just depend on the hiring manager. They might just be filtering that out before they'll even look at your portfolio or consider you. So that is true. And so, though I wouldn't recommend lying, getting back to that story, um, he had told him that he had written on his resume that he was from Pennsylvania, and um, the reason is that when you hear that someone's from New York, you think New York City, and you think a certain lifestyle, and so on and so forth, and that might not seem compatible with like uh, being alone on vast plains of land, working with cattle and working with other people, and uh, you know, working sometimes long hours in harsh conditions and with your hands and all that kind of stuff. So there's this perception. You have to get past those perceptions. You got to cut through them somehow. Um, yeah, I might recommend other strategies besides lying, but actually in that case, the the area that he's from in New York is actually much closer, much more similar culturally and lifestyle wise to kind of rural Pennsylvania. Um, but you don't have time to explain that, right? Like so, and actually in that case, uh, his the brother that I was talking about, he went out to visit him. He worked on the ranch with him for like a month, I think, and for him it was just like it was fun. But he was helping out and made friends with a bunch of the other guys and had said that he was from New York, and so the truth came out, and they said, well, if we had known that you were from New York, we never would have, like, we wouldn't have hired you. We never would have considered it. And so so it's true that there are hang-ups, there are perceptions, and some of it has nothing to do with your work or your work ethic. It's just, to be on the other end of that spectrum. Um, I'm not sure, what the um, legality is of that sort of thing. I don't know. I don't think you can really discriminate, based on like where somebody lives. I suppose you can not offer relocation, because that's more of a financial thing. But um, if you're putting yourself in their shoes and they've got a bunch of, you're trying to hire somebody for a job, um, and I guess if you think about it more like not a job, but a problem set that you need solved, or there's a pain point in your company, in your organization, and on your project, and you need someone who has the right skill set, the right mentality, the right work ethic. And actually, this reminds me of a book that I've been going through recently that is really good. It's pretty simple, but he talks. The name of the book is The Ideal Team Player, and it just talks about that. It talks about finding the right kind of talent and people who will work in a team. And it's more generalized, so it's not industry specific. But his model is humble, hungry, and smart. So smart being socially smart, being able to read the room and being able to communicate clearly and work with other people. And so that's more like a awareness, social awareness, and communications thing. And then hungry is just like your own personal drive, your own like personal initiative. Like, are you going to have to be handheld and told what to do all the time, or like, are you going to solve problems on your own and create? I don't want to say create agendas, but like, look at the big picture, the objectives of the organization, and then create your own checklist on how you can move forward on those things, rather than just being a gopher, like being just waiting to be told what to do. And then humble. There's a C.S. Lewis quote. C.S. Lewis. Humble people don't think less of themselves; they think of themselves less, right? So it's not to look down on yourself and be like, well, I'm not very good. That's not the point. Humble is, it's just not about you, right? Like, you're putting the objectives of the organization, the care for your fellow man, your teammates, other people. You're putting that above your own kind of personal advancement. And he goes through the end of the book. He goes through, if you have these combinations, but you're missing one of them, like kind of what character that ends up being. And it's interesting that it's actually very accurate. You can think like, oh yeah, I know, I've seen that, or like I see that some of that in myself. Like areas that I need to be stronger. So anyway, on the hiring side, you're thinking about the pain point in the company or on the project. Like, there's a gap, there's a need, and you're trying to fill that need. You're generally not. I mean, unless you're swimming in money, which it's just. I just think it's kind of like a pipe dream that there are companies that just hire people just because they're bored, or they thought it'd be cool. I mean, sometimes it's rare, but sometimes there are jobs that kind of get added that are just like, it's extra. They know that it's a luxury and not a necessity. But generally speaking, it's going to be a necessity. It's something necessary for the project. And you've got to make a decision based on not very much information, right? Like, you can lie on resumes, even portfolios. Portfolios are probably the best thing because you can see what people can accomplish ultimately. But even those can be, they leave a lot of questions, right? And they leave a lot of questions about how you work, about the editability of your work, how long did this thing take, and not just how long did it take, but like, if this painting took you a week and your layer stack is trash, then it's not really editable. Or if it's something more complicated than that, or something more team oriented than a painting, like a 3D model, texture sets, and that sort of thing, where there might be multiple contributors to it. That kind of standardization and working in ways that that lend itself to working with others is important, and you don't necessarily see that in a finished image. You just see like, okay, they're able to cross the finish line. That's great. So I mean, it's in my opinion the biggest part. Like, can you actually do the job? And the second part is that, like, ideal team player thing. Like, are you humble? Like, are you a reasonable person that I can work with? Are you hungry? Like, you're not just gonna show up and collect a paycheck, but you're actually gonna move the objectives of the company forward. And then, are you socially smart? Which would mean, like, if you're not, then you would just kind of be a bulldozer, right? You'd have your ideas. You'd be good at what you do. You're not a jerk necessarily. You're not doing it because you're not doing it to manipulate people or move up or anything like that. But you're just unaware of the consequences of, like, just doing things your own way and not working with the team, right? So yeah, there's a lot to consider. And so I don't know that there's well, let me put it this way. I think there are more character principles that are far more valuable for employment than just like the networks or the job boards or the strategies for writing a good resume. I mean, there's a threshold that you have to cross in terms of quality, communication ability, um, being able to introduce yourself to people, right? Because you do need to build a network. So there's a minimum bar on those aspects. But yeah, I think it depends far more on like, oh, here's someone that we can really work with, um, who's who's not going to add additional work. That's of course even that. I know I'm like talking in circles now, but even that is like, well, you can't change the employer's mind, but they also need to bear in mind that there is an additional amount of work um, to have a team and to manage a team. Um, it's Let me put it this way: you want to hire someone who's going to address that pain point for you, but you don't get it for free, and that's not just the monetary, the compensation. It's the necessary effort to create a company culture, to maintain a team, to communicate with everyone on that team, and have clear expectations, to cast the vision for the project. Those are like real, tangible things that you have to do if you want to work with other people. Um, I'm thinking about like with Fantastic Tanks, like there's so many things that I could just do on my own, and I have like uh, there's pros and cons to that. If you're doing it on your own, you can just lean on your own skill set, your own resources, your own time. But what you can't have with that is you can't leverage the power of community, right? You can't clone yourself. You can't be in two places at one time. Um, you can't really take anything off your plate. But along with that comes, just like I said, you got to cast the vision. You have to like understand the other party's motivation and why are they even working with you? What's in it for them, and what are their goals down the road, and are those aligned with your project or your organization? Um, Time, communication, all that. Anyway, so I don't want to just beat that dead horse, but it's give and take. I don't want to say it's 50-50 because uh, frankly, the person paying the paycheck has the leverage. Uh, I guess there's a conversation to be had about that, about workers and having the leverage over your the service that you provide and so forth. But at the end of the day, you want to get hired, you want to work somewhere, you want to have preferably a steady income, and it's difficult to. It's hard to say no. It's hard to put parameters on that, and it's easier, I think. Certainly easier in a place of comfort and safety, I guess. Definitely easier with time and having some confidence in your ability. Kind of understanding what projects you actually will be a valuable asset on, and what projects you will probably just get frustrated with or whatever. But yeah, I don't know that there's like this silver bullet. I don't know that the secret communities and job boards and all that stuff, like uh, yes, for in some cases there's some benefit to that, but I think generally it's you working on yourself and your network, right? And if you do good work and you're good to work with, and you um, maintain relationships with the people that you work with, um, then that's just going to keep spreading. I think that's probably in my mind, that's the most reliable, straightforward, honest way of doing it. And I guess I'll have to just end it there because I can just like keep ranting and talking in circles, and some things are kind of contradictory, and you know, and there really isn't a science to it, but there is kind of an art to it, I guess. All right, I think I'm wrapping up there. So let's see what we did. We got dusk, low sun, the red, blue, orange combo. That one is rather moody. That one feels like something bad's about to happen. This to me just feels a little bit too gray, maybe. I don't know. And I do like that one. This one feels like you can weather the storm and end up somewhere half decent, but there's still going to be this kind of dramatic tension in the background. You know, I like that one. And then what we did not show was this one. I mean, if you were not here earlier, let me add a layer to that. White background. If you go back and watch the video, you'll see this. But this was the warm up that we started with, and it's kind of nuts to go from that to inhospitable sulfur planet. But that's just what you get into when you show up to this live stream. All right, thanks for the lively conversation in the chat. All good questions, and you know, the employment stuff. I don't want to be a downer. I don't want to talk in circles. I don't want to lead anyone in the wrong direction. But I think it's worth talking about. It's worth discussing. I don't have my branded answers. You know, it's just whatever I'm thinking about at the time. So take it with a grain of salt, but also understand that I'm trying to come from a place of sincerity and not like a well, here's the answer. You know, like and subscribe for more industry advice or whatever. You know, like because that's not what's happening. So yeah, it's good to see you guys. Good to chat again. Like what you said the other day about ignorance is bliss. Yeah, it's true. All right, guys. Thanks for joining in, and I think we'll have to just end it here on this note. But yeah, more to come, and I'll let you know what's going on as the community ideas develop. But, all right, take care. Thanks for joining in, and have a good night.